she's been a scientist, a singer in a cover band, an international flight attendant, a state manager for Benefit Cosmetics, a gym boss, a copywriter. Now she's writing a book and fighting like hell for people with invisible disabilities. And her name is Nikki fucking Roberts.
So I was 27 when I got diagnosed with RA. Rheumatoid arthritis, your body's little messengers that attack foreign viruses and things, attacks your own body. I have had wrist erosion, 3 jaw surgeries. My left jaw is 100% titanium now. Let's call him Dr. K. Okay, Dr. K at me in the stirrups. Then he says to me, I told you to stay away from boys. You don't need a boyfriend, you just need a vibrator. And I was like, shook. I was fucking 17. That's another thing also that I learned about with the hysterectomy. The doctors never, ever say to you, your pain will be gone, but let's work on your pleasure. There is no concern for female pleasure. It's like you've had your babies, your work is done, you're useless now. Just be grateful.
This podcast is being recorded on Gubbi Gubbi land. We pay our respects to the traditional custodians of this land, our country, and elders past and present. I am Cait Muir, and thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Tell Me About It podcast. Today, I am sitting down with someone who has lived more lives than most people dream of. She's been a scientist, a singer in a cover band, an international flight attendant, a state manager for Benefit Cosmetics, a gym boss, a copywriter. Now she's writing a book and fighting like hell for people with invisible disabilities. And her name is Nikki fucking Roberts. And honestly, I have been counting down the days for this chat. It's been like 2 months of trying to get you in.
Excited to finally.
I'm
always so soft. I don't have much to talk about. And then you introduced me and I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
You got a bit on.
I'm a bit busy.
I'm so excited because today we're going to talk about what happens when your body basically stages a coup against your entire life plan and how you rebuild everything from scratch when the version of success that you were chasing really no longer fits what's going on. We're talking chronic illness, grief for the life you thought you'd have, the absolute mindfuck of letting go of perfectionism, and how Nikki went from go hard or go home to learning how to just flick. Also, she named her problematic ovary Janice, and I kind of want to start there because I think it's so fucking funny.
Do you know how, if I say that to someone with a deadpan face, they like, sorry? And you'll be happy to know that Janice, okay, so where do I begin? I was seeing my amazing pelvic physiotherapist, and I'd seen her post-hysterectomy, so it would have been 2019. In like a clinical setting. She's a South African lady. She's freaking awesome. She's got kids similar age to me. And she was really helpful in kind of dealing with the setup down there post-hysterectomy, like everything, womb out. I had 2 wombs as well. My 2-bed womb apartment, I used to call it. And I saw her recently in a different clinic, and it was really kind of serendipitous because she sat me down and she sort of said, okay, so last time you saw me, things are very clinical. I was very much, book led, I guess, science led in that regard. But she said, this time you're going to find that I have a bit of a different approach to things, and I kind of treat from a more somatic perspective. So Jeremy calls her the fanny fingerer because she obviously gets right up in there. I'll say I'm going today and he'll be like, oh, I haven't got time. But she knew that my ovary had to come out. I'd already lost one ovary and we were dealing with the problematic one that was left over. And she said to me, we were discussing menopause and grief in the way that menopause and hysterectomy is essentially really, it's a lot of finality, closing that chapter of being of childbearing years. And, the kind of, we kind of moved more in towards the energy of the organs. And she said, even though the organs aren't there, I'd had both uteruses taken out, fallopian tubes, cervix, and at that point, my left ovary. And all of a sudden, I've started the hormone therapy and I've had cysts come up on my remaining ovary. So
they're the fucking worst thing.
And it was bad enough.
I've had 23 ovarian cysts removed and drained before.
23.
Horrid. 23. I've had 31 surgeries of that region.
Oh my God, I thought I was bad. I've had like 12.
I mean, you had two uteruses as well.
Yeah.
Like,
horrendous period always. Found out at 16, had an ultrasound. They said, you don't have ovarian cysts, but you actually have two uteruses. And I was like,
how does that affect you?
Well,
yeah, we knew that.
It was really like back then I was in high school and, you know, we didn't really have the internet that much back then. So it was like, well, fuck, do I look in like journals to find out what will happen? And all I saw was like miscarriage, spontaneous abortion, blah, blah, blah. Because essentially the two wombs that I had were smaller than a single one because it was the same kind of space. But mine were very much like a T-section. So normally, you know, you have your uterus and it's like a triangle. I had like vagina, cervix, and then hooker left, uterus there, then hooker right, uterus there. So they were really, really separate. And
I think if you don't laugh about this shit, like, what are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, even when you call it the fanny finger, like, I was having a pap test about 3 weeks ago, and my doctor's like, oh, you can do it yourself. I was like, oh, I'm here already. You just do it. I was like, and he's like, oh, most people are really uncomfortable. I was like, IVF. I was like, I've had about 40 people up.
Honestly,
it's been the past few years. Like, it's nothing.
I used to have medical students come into my surgeries because they'd never seen a bicornuate uterus before. Yeah. And they're like, do you have two cervixes and two vaginas? And I'm like, no, just one vagina. Thanks. One vagina, one cervix, but two of everything.
Of course. So it's like one vagina
and then
yeah.
So I used to call them my twin turbos. My two utes, my two bedrooms. So for when they we were talking about we were talking about my ovary, weren't we? The problematic.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Circle back.
Totally.
So horrendous. You know the drill. Horrendous endo, cysts, all of the things. So
being told that it's normal for you to bleed that heavy and for that long and that inconsistently and be in that much pain, and please go and have some Panadol. Babe, I've had 5. Like, I start to have hip sides. Like, what are you talking about?
How was like putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage? Like, no. Throw a Band-Aid down a hallway. That's how effective it is when you're in that much pain. It's like when you go to hospital, the ambulance comes, have you had any paracetamol? I'm like, no, bitch. That's why I called you. Like, this isn't the level of Panadol.
Yeah.
This is so much further along, you know, like, and you're probably the same as me. You've been labeled a drug seeker or had that kind of, you know, people judge you instantly.
I mean, I'm also like you though, where I don't take any pain relief at all unless it's like unbearably bad, because when I do take it, I want it to be effective. But I also now up here, I'm a patient of Budrum Private Clinic, like hospital. That's where my doctor works, my fertility doctor and everything works. So now I'm actually like, when I go in through the ED there, so it's like you pay your $300 or whatever to be triaged straight away. They page my doctor and they usually give me like fentanyl or something straight away, because they know that by the time I get there, I'm dying. Yeah. I'm not going in and wasting anyone's time in emergency. You know what I mean?
So great that you have a specialist team that is so holistic and that you have that rapport, because, I mean, the amount of times I've been to Redcliffe Hospital, I've always paid privately for everything, which is why I'm fucking broke as shit. But everything, all my surgeries, my entire life have been private, apart from my appendix surgery.
Well, you get the doctor you want.
Well, that's it. That's it. You can find it. I have a great team now. Like, all of my specialists, I have about 20 fucking specialists, but they all, like, the guy who did my breast reduction was like, oh yeah, I was over in France with Michael, your jaw surgeon, at the soccer. And I was like, okay. And then my rheumatologist is like, oh, yeah, Michael, I know Michael. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, I was like, yeah.
So that's so funny. My GP here, Dr. Shield, and my fertility doctor, Dr. Bogiatsis, lived together in Mount Isa for 5 years while they went and did their placement out there. 5 months, sorry, while they went and did their placement out there, and they know each other. I'm like, how do you
It's crazy. But I honestly think now that I'm moving in more into a woo-woo, like that's something that's just, it's more than serendipitous, you know, like it's more than coincidental. There is a certain person you're drawn towards when you're searching for something that you need. And with that person comes all of their, you know, all of their circle of people that can help. And when you find someone who has the same value system as you and has the same understanding and the same temperament, like the amount of doctors that I've been to that have just been fucking rude cunts. Like so many. But I finally have a really good team. Really good team.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. And I'm really happy for you that you have that, because I honestly feel like I can book an appointment with my specialist anytime, ask him the dumbest fucking questions. Same for Cam. Like, and like, it doesn't matter. And like, I've just got that support there.
They're your people, you know? Your chosen ones.
Yeah.
If you're going to be fucking around in my body, you're cutting me open and snit, and I'm going to be like laying there naked as anything. Like, people that I trust. And circling back to that as well, when you mentioned your pap smear, 2 things came to mind. One was my sister had one, and she clenched so hard that the speculum flew across the room.
Oh, God.
But I just got to those. My very first pap smear happened to coincide with the day the Twin Towers went down. So I was in high school. I had the day off school.
I was going to the US that week with my family. We're flying to the US to visit family. Crazy. Everyone knows where it happened, right? Everybody remembers that.
When Diana died, because my mom was like howling.
We were in Hamilton Island or one of the Whitsundays, I think, watching that on TV, like, what the fuck? And like, I was a kid, I didn't really know it. Even with the Twin Towers, I was only 12, I think. So I was like, I didn't, I guess, understand the gravity of it. Like, I knew what was going on and stuff, but like, I didn't.
No, you don't
understand
it. It doesn't sink in straight away.
Yeah, it was so weird.
It's so weird.
Yes.
So I was in my bedroom. I was in grade 11, I think. And I took the day off. Mum came in, turned my TV and was like, oh, this has happened in America. And I was like, oh, wow. But this gynecologist that I went to see, he was someone who was recommended to me by my mum, by my auntie. Like, all of these women in my family had been to see this guy. And they're like, he's great. He's, you know, he's so lovely. He's really good with patients and whatever. His wife is the receptionist. And when I met him, I initially, because I was young and naive, I thought, oh, this is just what a specialist is like.
It feels
this
like.
is just what, you know, this uncomfortable, this discomfort I'm feeling is just situational. But the very first time I saw him about endo, he put me on the pill. He knew about my uteruses. And he said, you know, I won't do any examinations or anything today, because at that point I was still a virgin. I was 16. And then I went back probably 6 months later for my first pap smear, because I'd had a steady boyfriend and I was sexually active, and my mum came in with me, and, you know, everyone was talking about Twin Towers and I was just like kind of distracted. But I went in and he said, okay, now I'm going to get you to step into the next room and we'll just do an assessment and an internal stuff. And I was like, okay. So Mum waited in the waiting room, and I wish I had asked her to come in. I wish I had followed my gut feeling.
I was going to say, it's wild that
I was just 17.
You didn't when you were
just 17.
I was 15 when I had my first pap smear. 15, yeah, because I was same thing. It was in a relationship with somebody.
You know what this guy said to me? So let's call him Dr. K. Okay, Dr. K puts me in the stirrup.
We can call him
Dr. Cunt. Yeah, let's call him Dr. Cunt. Dr. K put me in the stirrups and looked over and said, oh, what do you call that? Is that a landing strip? And I was like, and he goes, well, so many of my clients have that. And I was like, I'm just 17. You're commenting on my pubic hair. Then he says to me, I told you to stay away from boys. You don't need a boyfriend. You just need a vibrator. And I was like, shook, right? Gross.
Well, you just
gross. Yes, I didn't know. I was fucking 17. This guy's got his fingers inside me. And I'm like, look,
talking to you about sex toys when you're 16.
Vibrator and a landing strip of pubic hair. And I went out to mum and I was like, Mum.
Mortified, probably looked quite as
this is what. And she's just like, oh, she didn't understand, but she's like, he was probably just trying to make you
people of that generation don't understand.
They just say they're very, yes, doctor, okay, doctor, that whole, baby boom generation.
Well, all women of that generation have also tolerated 100%. Sexual harassment forever as well. Do you know what I mean? And it was also just expected to get over.
So I'm like feeling fucked, like feeling sick, walking out past this reception.
Absolutely violated.
Who's his wife? And she's like, how did you go? And I'm like, fucking second twin tower just exploded. And I'm like, I'll never forget that day. It is so stuck in my brain. I then stupidly went on to have my first endo surgery with him. And commonly with uterine anomalies, they're having the two uteruses. Quite often you'll have an anomaly with your endocrine system or your kidneys and your epinephric, because the epinephric system develops at the same time as your sex organs. So if one mutates, it's common. Mutate.
Yeah, right.
So everybody starts with the double, and then there's a septum that comes up and opens, so it joins together to be the one uterus. But I actually also have a third kidney.
What? You're such an overachiever.
So extra. So usually, a gynecologist would be like, oh, that's abnormal. I wonder if we should check the kidneys. But he didn't do that. So when they do the surgery, as you know, they clip your kidney, your ureters to the side so they can operate. So he could easily have severed the third ureter, not knowing it was there, because he didn't do enough investigation into it.
And correct me, kidneys are quite close to the outside too, so extremely easy to see as well, aren't they? Like they're like on the outer. Yeah.
And you can't mistake a ureter. A ureter looks like a ureter. It's a fucking tube, like.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what that. Oh, I've clipped that one. I've clipped that one. What's that one? Like he could have easily just cut through it. But anyway. He also, my bowel, which was very common in all of my surgeries after the fact, and even now without having a uterus, my bowel and my uterus would always get stuck together. And then my bowel and my bladder would get stuck together.
That happens to me
just that Couch Douglas adhesions and all that shit. But he decided that he would cut them apart. And I later found out through seeking gynecologist of my own choosing that was actually far beyond his ability and certification.
I was going to say they're meant to have another doctor there
to be present for them to do that operation.
Because I've even had it before. Actually, my last surgery. No, it wasn't my last surgery. My last surgery before I moved up here. It was in November of 2020. So it was the end of Rona. My dog died that month. I'm having surgery, like absolutely cooked. And I had cyst and endo in my urethra and also like all through, the normal areas. And I know that there was 3 surgeons there that day. So it was my urologist, my gynecologist, like OBGYN, and then, a bowel specialist or a colon specialist, one of them anyway. But they were like literally tag teaming like, no, we just have to have them all here.
But so that, and if I've since had
imagine if
can you imagine that? Like, can you imagine if he had have ruptured my bowel?
All these like wounds and then you grow septic. Oh my God, nah.
And that was my first encounter with a specialist. So I thought, oh my God, are they all like this? Like, is this normal? But like, I've since had a couple dicks. That sounds really bad. A couple of dick heads. Had a couple of dicks in my mouth. A couple of dickhead doctors that
I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. Like,
God, guys. But back to Janice. Janice, my ovary. So my remaining ovary, she was being a bitch. It was kind of like, I was talking to Mandy and I said, I rushed into my hysterectomy because my RA was so fucking bad and so unmanaged that I was just slammed as pain all the time. And I couldn't be the best mom. I had a hysterectomy when Remy was like, I think 4 months old. So really soon after having him by a cesarean. And when I was telling her about the menopause, she's very big about feelings. Like she wanted me to connect. Like she's basically fingering me. She's saying like, so when I press here, like what emotion comes up? And like I might, like one time I fucking giggled and I thought, whoa, this is weird. Like, and I said to Jeremy, I'm like, I giggled, and he was like, what? And I said, she told me to just lean in my feelings, okay? And then she was like, something will come up, and if it comes up, you just say it. And she's like, what do you need? And I was like, sex. And she was like, and then I was like, oh, like, I think because I was so scared of like hurting myself or getting UTIs and all that kind of shit that I could.
Yeah, I love that you just lean into the feelings 150%.
Screaming it out. I need sex. And I got home and I was like, Jeremy, we have homework. And he was like, okay, what do you mean? But yeah, about the grief thing, like I listened to this podcast that these doctors did, and I wish I had listened to it before I had my hysterectomy, because they were talking about this thing called a menopause doula. So when, you know, obviously the beginning of the childbearing years, you have a doula or a midwife. Yeah. But in closing that chapter, it's so final, but there's no closure. You know, you feel less of a woman. I felt less of a woman. I felt like, my place I grew, both my babies, they were both in the left uke, by the way, both in the left.
That's funny. That
both in the left. They like the left. And it was funny because when Poppy, I'll come to that. Janice, focus on Janice. So we're in the appointment and she's like pushing near my ovary, and I was like, oh. And she said, we need to make a story about it. Like we need to be able to physically, with the removal, have some sort of symbolism around getting rid of her. So it was like a thanks but no thanks. Like you've tried your best, Janice. You really have. But unfortunately, I don't need you anymore. So I said to Jeremy, it was like a dead
takes the emotion out of being third person.
Dead calm face, and I was like, we need to plant something for Janice. He was like, who the fuck is Janice? I was like, my ovary. And he was like, okay. So he goes to Bunnings, right? And he comes home and he's got a plant. I'm like, what did you get, babe? And he knows I hate pawpaw. So he got me a pawpaw tree. So I was like, so iconic. Like, so he dug a hole for me and I put her in, and I pushed the dirt around, and he held the hose on it and like looked the other way. And I said a few words for Janice. And I said, look, Janice, you've served me well. You've been a bit of a pain in the ass at times, but, our time has come to an end, and I wish you the best. Guess what? The fucking plant is thriving. It is thriving. It is like growing.
It's growing. Right. It's growing.
Oh my God.
You. So I love that. I love the backhandedness of choosing a plant that you hate. Like my husband would do something like that. He would be like, oh, you don't like avocados? Yes. I'll get you an avocado something. Like it.
I was like, pawpaw? And he's like, because you hate it. And I was like, I fucking love you. Like, I fucking love you. And yeah, she's thriving.
That's the perfect prank. Like, that's the perfect prank level. Like, I love that so much. I love that you named it too. It's actually an anxiety technique when you're in this when you're in the spiral. You're meant to talk to yourself in third person. Yeah, because it takes dissociates you, and it makes you like actually like look at yourself from the outside. So you're like pulling yourself out of the situation. So I love
and then I'm not talking negatively about my body as much. Like I'm like fuck you. I'm like fuck you.
Yeah, I've got one severe underperformer and one that's okay, but they're both pretty average at best. But I know, well, the hope for me is when I finish having my babies, then I can just have the whole lot taken out. I can't live in this much pain, live with periods that go for 3 weeks. Like I'm 30 fucking 6. Like come
my heart breaks for you, babe. Like the amount, the way my life changed when I had my hysterectomy, even though I felt rushed into it and I knew it was the right thing to do and I knew I wasn't going to have any more kids, but it's just that choice being taken away. There's something so powerful in that chapter closing and being like, well, fuck, what if, I mean, I looked at it from a point of view as like 1 was amazing, 2 was a bonus, 3 would just, I and being more responsible to my existing children, to not want to further my family when, you know, I struggle to look after myself sometimes. So she was perfect.
Yeah.
Remy was an absolute
rainbow baby.
Can I tell you something really crazy about Remy? So we were trying to conceive probably from when Poppy was 1. They're 3 years apart, but when Poppy was 1, was trying. Nothing was working. We did an intrauterine insemination, which is what we did with Poppy. It was actually funny. I tell people that when she was conceived, there was 3 men in the room, and everyone's like, but there was like the doctor, Jeremy, and a medical student holding the probe. Because when he did the thing, how they go up into the cervix, into the uterus, because mine was straight up, he had to keep pulling it out, bending it to go around a corner. So fucking put your indicator on, we're going around the corner. Meanwhile, I'm passing out. I'm like, oh, vasovagal response, just like passing out. Every time he went through my cervix, I passed out. So he was doing it, and he did the right one. And then when he did the left one, I was watching it on the screen, and it made a fart noise. And so I always tell Poppy that she came from the fart. She fucking loves it. Like, she loves it.
I love that so much. And this is what I mean by, like, I think you've got to, you know, wherever you can, I guess it depends on your sense of humor, but you got to kind of make light of these situations too. You know, you got to have a laugh about it.
So we tried IUI again, didn't work. And then I stopped trying, and I was like, okay, we're going to do IVF in 2018. If, you know, we're going to stop trying for now because my RA is so bad. Went to a Stevie Nicks concert, had my period, was horrendous. Clots everywhere, in the fucking toilet, temporary toilet, like having fucking contractions, and like just the worst time ever. And Stevie Nicks was amazing. And then I came home, and like a week later had amazing sex, and then was like, cool, didn't think about it. And then one day I tried to have a coffee, and I was like, I can't drink this coffee. And I knew something was up. But just after the IUI, I ended up having a really early miscarriage. So I knew I was pregnant, and I was having pains, and I knew that I'd have implantation pain, but I was like, this doesn't feel right. And I didn't tell my parents for whatever reason. I just didn't tell them. And I was very close. Very close. Yeah, well, that's it. And I didn't want to disappoint them if it, you know, didn't happen. And I just had this feeling that it wasn't right because I was in a lot of pain. So sadly at home, went into hospital, had to do the whole shebang with the witch's hat in the toilet to catch the bits and all that stuff that's very traumatic. And it's horrendous. Awful. And anyone who goes through it, it doesn't matter how far along you are. It's the death of hope.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It's not just the death of a bundle of cells.
Yeah, we had a miscarriage Boxing Day, didn't know I was pregnant, had a house full of people, as you do, had all these friends staying with us. And then we had another one, our last transfer. It was August 2 years ago, and we got the confirmation that the IVF had worked. So we're like over the moon excited. And then like the blood test 2 days later, they're like, you've lost it. I'm really sorry. And that's why we pissed off to Fiji. I was like, I just need to get away from fucking everybody. And it's really sad. You know, when it doesn't work and when it doesn't take, you're just like, but when it takes and then you lose it, you're just like, what
glimmer of hope, and then utter despair. So that happened. And then I had horrendous periods, went to Stevie Nicks, came home, had amazing sex, and then couldn't drink a coffee and was like, weird. Found out I was pregnant. We didn't find out what we were having. I had a feeling it was a boy, but then I also thought Poppy was a boy, and I had like gender disappointment, and I cried for a day. I was like, fuck, Nikki, like all you've wanted is a kid, and then you're pregnant and you're like disappointed. But then I just like, again, it was a story I made up in my head of me having a little boy and what that would look like. And then, 12 hours later, I was like, oh my God, I'm having a girl. And I was so excited. But one of my main issues with wanting it to be a boy, my main motivation was I don't want her to have endo. Like that fear of like, if I have boys, then that's absolutely fine. Completely. You know what I mean? Like that genetic predisposition.
Yeah, you don't want them to experience all of this.
But then someone else said to me, the beauty in that, Nikki, is that you've been through it, so you're the best person to advocate for her if it does happen. So anyway, Remy was huge.
Totally. I think the whole scene is changing around that now anyway. Like I feel like there's endo clinics, you can get early diagnoses. Like I remember being diagnosed, I was late teens, I think. I can't really remember. But, then I had high cell blood count through pap smears twice. Like I had surgery for that. My mum had hysterectomy when she was like, I swear she was late 20s, I think, like 29, something like that. everything out. Like it was just different. I think everything's like changing and
Thank God.
You know, taking women's pain seriously is changing. Like I even remember when I got my first high level pap test result, I got the call and was like, hey, you've got to go to the doctors tomorrow. Like this can't wait. And I went to the first doctor who came really highly recommended. And she was like, you know, I'd like to explore like hysterectomy or further treatment or like more advanced treatment. And it was actually my mum that advocated and was like, I'm not really happy with that. Like you're 18, like that's not kind of, or maybe I was 19, I can't remember. But then we went to my other doctor, who was my doctor for many years, Dr. Sabari, and he was awesome. And he was just like, cool, so we're going to take a biopsy today. And they were like, yeah, you don't need numbing or anything like that. I fainted. It was that painful. They take chrome biopsies out of your cervix. And then, 4 days later, I was in having surgery. And like, I'm a teenager. Like I barely, I slept with one person at this stage of my life. Like, yep, I've slept with one person at this stage of my life. Like I'm literally a baby, and it's just like it was
like,
just so bad.
If this is what women are in for, then fuck this.
Yep, and it was just like, and even like I even remember having like the implanol, those things as well. It's just like no, they made me crazy.
You know what? My boyfriend at the time called me Nicking because I was like different person. So I was nicking on until I got the implant out. Then I was like, Nikki's gone.
Well, yeah, just things like that. And then do you know what? My husband goes to the doctor for fucking back pain, and then they're like, here, like, I'll take it. It's like,
yeah, right. Give the green
like, hang on. I go in and I'm like, I've got severe pain. I've been cramping for days. It's actually unbearable. I'm bleeding nonstop. And they're like, oh, come back if pain persists. I'm like, no, the pain is persisting. That's why I'm here.
It's so fucked up.
What do you mean?
It's so fucked that there should be a level of anesthesia for any kind of, you know, fucking procedures.
Like that you get the gas now and you get morphine.
Or the fucking like green whistle or something, you know, because
I think you do get that now. I think that's changed. I genuinely think you do actually get that now, which is so good.
But for us.
But how did it, I want to talk about, you're obviously a scientist, so you've got like a very strong science background. How did you then make that transition into more like holistic, like wellness and like exploring, I guess, Eastern medicine as opposed to Western? Like that must have been a really difficult change because you're like science brain, right?
So I basically was a straight A student and high achiever in high school, total nerd. Thought that
I had kidneys, 2 uteruses, overachiever.
Even my blood is A positive. Like honestly, could I be?
I'm O-neg.
So when in high school, I did really well with marine studies. I kind of topped the class, and my dad was in the Navy and stuff. It was kind of like, you know, alignment, I guess, in a way. And I just had that pressure on myself. I actually wanted to be a hairdresser when I was a teenager, but I forced myself. No. Listening to your story the other day and just thinking about how fucked people were to like apprentices, and I would see it in a salon. I'd be like, they are so mean to them. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But having been good at something and thinking, fuck, what am I going to do with my life? And then saying, you know, the parents saying, it's all about the OP, and the teachers saying it's all about the OP. And I ended up having a hemiplegic migraine towards the end of my grade 12 exams. And they sort of said, you can, like, I couldn't talk, half my body went numb, I couldn't see, like it was insane.
I get blindness when I have migraines too.
Pedro Simonastiva, which is fucking embarrassing because he was a Bronco at the time. But I was watching his sister play netball with my best friend, and I couldn't talk. It was horrendous. But they said, we'll give you an average if you don't want to do the QCS. And I was like, no, I want to do the QCS. And I'm getting an A for the QCS, even though I'd been in hospital. So it's very studious. And I wanted to go to uni. Felt like I was expected to go to uni. It was just the pressure I put on myself. My parents never sort of said, you have to go to uni. So I did science, and I enrolled in a Bachelor of Marine Studies, which was, you know, you could be in aquaculture, or you could be a park ranger. It's a very, very specific field. Yep. So a little while into that, and obviously preceding that, I was just having endless issues with endometriosis. So I changed my degree to just a science degree while I kind of figured it out. And I'd had a few surgeries by that point. And I started doing subjects like, I did Sex 101, which was fucking cool, about like pedophilia and stuff. It was amazing. Did quite a few psychology subjects, and then obviously like animal studies and anatomy and stuff like that. And this whole time I was at uni, I was just having insane amounts of pain. I ended up deferring, and I had one semester left to do. 8 years later, so it would have been almost 11 years since I started, I realized that it was going to run out and expire, all this work that I'd done, and I had one semester left. And I was living in Melbourne. I had RA at that point. I was working in retail and singing in a cover band. And I was like, I want to just finish this. So I enrolled cross-institutionally at Uni of Melbourne and finished my last semester that way. So I still graduated from EQ. And it's so funny because at the time when I started, you didn't have to have a major. So at the ceremony when I got my actual degree, it was like Bachelor of Science majoring in nursing, a Bachelor of this and that. And then it was just Nikki Roberts, Bachelor of Science. And that was it. And I was like, that's me. I have a nothing major. But it's a pretty certificate. It's on my wall. That's about as far as it goes. But in saying that, my conversion over into more Eastern kind of perspective of things and working into more of an energy science point of view. You know, I'm someone who's read and done research papers and things like that. But I think I noticed the confirmation bias and the way that science was represented in the media and the way that everything was skewed towards males. Everything was, you know, there were no studies.
Why does it only use men for everything? There's been more research into men's erectile dysfunction than there has been to women's infertility.
So this is the thing. Do you know the story behind the BMI?
Okay, so that's one of my notes for today. So tell me about that because
so fucked up.
I'm obviously overweight in my BMI.
I'm obese.
Clearly.
Yeah, same.
So am I.
So the BMI was discovered by a mathematician in I think it was the 1800s. Don't quote me on that. But it was a study into, it was supposed to be a study into like a demographic of the ideal male
between 1830 and 1850 by Adolphi.
Yes, so mathematician to study populations of men, and back then the ideal body type was that of a basically late teen, I think it was European man. So very, very slender, very young. That was what the BMI was based on. It was never, ever, ever created to be used at an individual level. It was only to be used as, you know, a population study of groups of men. And having that as, and this goes right back into racism and all these kind of, sexism, obviously, because women weren't even a factor. It was never to be used on women. It was never to be used at an individual level. It was based off the belief back then that obviously different cultures have different body types. African Americans have a higher muscle content. They have a more fat content, you know, in their body, in their backsides and places like that. Just genetically, culture. Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful lip.
So culturally, back then, obviously, there was slaves. There was, you know, racism. There was all of these appalling things.
Yeah.
But these people were considered to be the elite and the, you know, the creme de la creme, and the ideal body type was a second teenage European white male, right? So the fact that it was never done on never done on women, it was never supposed to be used on an individual level. And then to make it even fucking worse, they changed the barometers for it. So the people that were healthy then became overweight. The people that were underweight became healthy, and the people that were severely underweight just became underweight. So they've moved the parameters so that people are actually higher than they are. Now, BMI, I'm so passionate about this because BMI is what caused my eating disorder. We learned about it in high school, in PE, and we had to do a food journal. So I basically starved myself so I would have...
Wait, you had to do that in high school?
Yes, the beginning of grade 11, we learn about BMI. We had to do a food diary.
That's okay. That's crazy in itself because all your body hang-ups start in high school, right? Like everything like that starts in high school. I mean, I remember my mum literally like looking at photos of me and my friends or me and my cousins and like pointing out how different our bodies were. And I was just always so conscious of it. I remember my uncle saying something about me and my cousin who was 3 years older than me about being underdeveloped and like just really like attacking, belittling language. I remember the boys at school. I was super athletic. The boys at school, I was super athletic and they called me Anna because they thought I was anorexic, but I was like a sprinter and a runner. Like I used to do long distance running. I used to do boxing. Like I was so fit. And then you hit your 20s and you don't fucking eat. Like because you just want to stay like that. Because God forbid if your body changes, it's horrible.
I remember my grandfather saying to me at my 21st, like was serving, I think they were like mini sausage rolls. And he's like, don't eat too many of them or you'll lose your beautiful figure. And I was like, ew, you're my grandfather. Gross.
You look back on that stuff now too and you're like,
my mum just died. Why are you concerned? My mum, her whole life has been about wanting to be smaller. And that's because of the weight. Right?
My mother is weight obsessed as well. Absolutely weight obsessed.
My mum learned that her worth came from her size. And her mum was a fucking psychopath. Hate her.
How did you overcome anorexia?
It's actually a really cool story. I got so obsessed with weight and BMI and stuff like that. I got so obsessed. I have a glass of water and I would weigh myself after drinking water to see if I'd gained weight. Like it was ridiculous. And
I remember the amount of times I weigh myself. It's actually really alarming. We don't even own scales now.
I can't. And if I ever get weighed in a doctor's office, I ask them not to tell me the number and I don't look at it. Like, don't want to see it, don't want to hear it because it will send me into a spiral. I will download MyFitnessPal and I will start restrictive eating and punishing myself and all those kinds of things that you do when you have a disordered eating with food. But what happened was I was in grade 11 and I had really bad stomach pain for like 2 weeks. The doctor said it was like a bacterial infection, put me on antibiotics. Didn't get any better. So my mum was worried because normally I bounce back quicker than that. And she took me to emergency because she said, I think that you might have appendicitis. So went into hospital, had a fever, had all of the hallmarks of appendicitis. So they took me in and they took it out and it was at Redcliffe Hospital and they didn't have enough beds in the recovery unit. So they put me in the palliative care wing of the hospital. So I'm coming out of anesthesia and I'm looking around.
With essentially dying people all around you.
All around.
Wow. It's hard enough to go in there and visit someone, let alone if you've got to actually stay.
It was so eye-opening, Cait. Like I had someone beside me, this little old man that couldn't use the bathroom and he was just basically sitting in a toilet chair all day and trying to get in and out of bed. And then there was a woman across from me who was in palliative care and her teeth kept falling out and she fell asleep. And like person diagonal to me was like, you know, coughing and was on liquid food. Like, and it was just the thing that I needed to make me go, what the fuck am I doing? So I had like my family come visit and, you know, mum bought me a donut and I just remember looking at it and going, fuck, man, like that woman over there with the liquid, like nasogastric tube, what she would give to have a donut, you know? So it kind of made me go, that was scary because when they got in there, it was just about to rupture. Wow. It was really, it probably had it. You know how you can get endo on it now? In your appendix? Yeah, so it makes me wonder. Makes me wonder.
Well, fun story about an appendix. I don't know if I have one because I can never find it.
Maybe I've got yours as well.
They've never been able to find. Well, maybe. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm kind of an underperformer body-wise. You seem to be like over the top. But you know that every time you go in for like an ultrasound or something, you go into emergency, the first thing they rule out is appendicitis, but they can never find mine.
That is
ever
so crazy.
That's
nuts.
I mean, if you don't need it, I guess.
You know, we don't need. I think it was like evolutionarily, it used to process like cellulose from leaves and stuff. If I remember. Yeah, so it's an evolutionary thing. It's just an extra appendage that we don't actually use.
That's so funny. That's crazy that it was like that real gratitude feeling of like, fuck, what that person would give, like to have a donut, to live a normal life. I've got all that. Why am I like
and it
throwing
wasn't
in
like
the
an
bin?
immediate fix. It took me.
Why am I worried
That's
about what
exactly
people
right.
think of me?
It was real. And obviously at that age, like I would have been, what, 15, 16? And at that age, you know, there's so much going on around you and your hormones, and you just feel everything more deeply. And I think seeing having not really experienced death at that age either, and then being in a palliative care wing as a teenager, and just like it just really made me
there, isn't it? Like it's
That's
around
right.
you.
People die, and it's so
crazy.
it was another thing that now I think back on it, you know, it makes me feel like I hate the empty platitudes of like everything happens for a reason and at least you don't have cancer. Like the amount of times I've had people say, oh, haven't tried yoga? Or like, haven't tried turmeric? What about turmeric? I'm like, if you told me if I rub fucking turmeric into my nipples and do a rain dance and stand on my head, I've tried it. You know what I mean? Like, fucking around 3 times in a circle and, you know, anything. Someone told me.
It's like anything though. I mean, I suffered with severe acne like my whole life. Like I get really bad breakouts and stuff like that. And I remember my mum being like, oh, well, you didn't get that from us, you know, like I've never had a pimple in my life. And I'm like, well, it's actually genetic. And actually both my parents have had siblings that have had really bad acne in their lives too. And I'm not blaming you for having something. I'm just letting you know.
Look up recessive genes. Recessive.
Like, yeah, literally. And also like, people would be like, oh, it's diet, it's this, it's that. I'm like, guys, I've got stage 4 endo. I have polycystic ovaries. I have so many other things that contribute to this. It's got nothing to do with my diet. I'm a very healthy girl.
Thanks for the advice that I didn't ask for though.
Funnily to that though, you know, like I'm very woo-woo in the way that like I believe that your body gives you signals. For example, when you lose your voice, I believe that's you like not speaking your truth or not having the ability to talk and things like that. And like, I know that when you get foot pain, it's about being ungrounded. And like, I believe in that stuff. Like I'm woo-woo about that stuff too. But funnily enough, since I've ended the relationship with my parents, I've not had a single endo flare up. I've not had a single breakout. My hair has never grown faster in my whole life. My skin is like normal, like, and I have never been that like that in my whole life. So since getting rid of that stress of having a relationship with my mother and everything she tortured me with, I'm like a whole new person. Cam's just like, you are so calm. You are so like, he's like, you're just different. And I'm like, isn't it crazy?
No.
The energy that shifts with that stuff 100%.
Too. And the more that I'm leaning into that and the more that, you know, obviously I met Nikki from House of Bliss talking about RA. Her mum had RA, has RA, and we connected that way. And, you know, she's always done Reiki and energy stuff. And I've always felt something, but I didn't know if it was like psychosomatic. I didn't know if like it was just because I was laying down for a moment and, you know, and it felt nice and it was a nice environment. But the more that I sort of look into it and the more things that are coming about, and similar to you cutting out your parents from your lives, the one system of my life that I've never invested in, I've done the physiological, I've done the physical, I've done, you know, the medical, all of the things. The one system I have consistently neglected is my nervous system. And there's so much stuff coming about that being dysregulated, being in constant fight or flight, you know, having had trauma, all of these things are manifesting physically. And having my nervous system constantly on edge and not being regulated, then my children aren't regulated, you know? And it's so fucking hard. It's so hard not to, like, I yell. I'm a mum that yells because they don't listen to me otherwise, you know? But like having a daughter who is on the spectrum and, you know, very much like her father, which isn't a bad thing. It's just a lot. A lot.
Now you've got two of them.
And I'm trying to regulate her when my heart rate is like 120 beats per minute and I'm like hyperventilating. Like it just doesn't work. Doesn't work. Got to settle the self before you can co-regulate. So that's something that I'm really leaning into more as I'm getting older and moving away from, you know, like when you're young, you think your parents know everything, that you think they've got it all right. You think that doctors are the be all and end all, that they can't do anything wrong, that they're the authority. But at that point, you don't know any better. You know, you're only kind of consuming what's being presented to you. But the older I get, and I think the fact that I have that science background, the more I'm able to disseminate and pick and choose bits of research from different fields and learn all of these things, you know, like
I love that so much, because so many science people are like,
I was so rigid, Cait. I used to be like that. I was so rigid. I was like, nah, these are the facts. But the issue is, even writing, you know, like a journal article myself in uni, your journal article or your research paper, it's going to reflect what you want it to reflect. You will find the evidence for it to support it. Whereas, you know, because there hasn't been a lot of funding, or like you said, there's more into erectile dysfunction than there is into women.
Yeah, of course, men's pleasure is always more important than women's.
That's
so,
another thing also that I learned about with the hysterectomy, was that all of these specialists that I go to, they would say, yes, your pain's going to be gone. It may come back, this, that, and the other. And when I listened to this podcast, this woman that was talking about having the menopause doula and all that kind of thing, and having a ceremony, one of them burnt all of her tampons and pads, and like, you know, had a bushfire in the backyard and all this sort of stuff. The symbolism behind all of that was so powerful, and having that grief of like mourning a part of your body that you have lost. The doctors never ever say to you, your pain will be gone, but let's work on your pleasure. Not one doctor thinks about sexual pleasure from surgery.
And everything affects.
It's like, it's the core fucking organ for you to feel good. But doctors are like, cut out the cancer and, you know, whatever's left you should just be grateful for. Cut out the endo, and then you should be able to have sex and have a baby. But no doctors actually say, as a point of, you know, the pros and cons of sex might be less painful after hysterectomy, but it's going to take a while to get there, but we want to get you there. There is no concern for female pleasure. It's like, you've had your babies, your work is done, you're useless now. Just be grateful. You know, like that, just be grateful mentality. And
and
it's like, I want to have sex. I want to have good sex. You know, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's just not a thing.
It's such a funny thing. It's a funny thing, isn't it? And you know, the paradox to that for me has been that I've actually had worse experiences with my fertility health with female doctors than I have with males. I actually feel like the males have listened to me more, and my experience has been better with them than it has been with women. I almost feel like women are a bit dismissive. I'm like, just because you don't experience it doesn't mean that I don't.
And I agree with you.
I have a friend.
I really have male gynecologists.
Yeah, I've got 100%. I mean, like, I've got a friend who literally got her period when she was 15. I got mine when I was 9. I was in grade 4. I remember running home from school. I remember the classroom I was sitting in and everything. Horrible. But my mum, I think, also got hers really young as well. I think she was in about grade 4 as well. But I've got a friend who got her period at 15. It has been 3 to 4 days, every 28 days, not a drop of pain, light enough that she can live her life. And she's like, I can't even imagine going through that. Like, she's like, it's yuck enough just having my 4 days of like normal bleed, let alone she's like, you know, I know that she tries to call me sometimes and I'm like, day one, can't talk, got to be in the fetal position, you know, like it's crazy. But I think just, I've actually found the men more compassionate in my case than I have the 100%. So
I've had the same experience.
Yeah. I want to talk also, because you speak briefly about RA, but explain what RA is, because as well as everything else you have going on, you've also got what is seemingly an invisible disability.
So on top of all the endo stuff, which in my thinking, I feel like endo should be classed as an autoimmune disease, because it is your body's tissue and it is attacking you in the way that the prostaglandins, the cramping, all that kind of thing. It's part of your own anatomy that's making you sick.
Yep.
But along with that, a lot of people that have endo also have an autoimmune disease. Like, it's becoming more comorbid. So I was 7 when I got diagnosed with RA. So at this point,
That's so
I had been in international palliative.
So RA is
It's an
rheumatoid
inflammatory
arthritis.
autoimmune disease. So you hear arthritis, people think old people arthritis, like, oh yeah, my nan's got arthritis, my mum's got arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is not wear and tear, which osteoarthritis is. Rheumatoid arthritis is where the synovial fluid, which is the liquid around your joints, the tissues, the tendons, the joints themselves, are deemed to be a foreign body by your own body. So your body's little messengers that attack foreign parasites and viruses and things are overactive. So instead of just attacking foreign bodies, it attacks your own body. So in that process, I have had wrist erosion that I can't get back because my rheumatologist, a woman, funnily enough, didn't take me seriously, and I had to beg to get ultrasounded to show her that my wrists were in fact very swollen. I have very thin wrists, and they didn't look swollen. But shock and surprise, they were really swollen. So by the time that it's diagnosed, a lot of the time damage has already been done that can't be rectified. And obviously along with that, I've had 3 jaw surgeries now. My left jaw is 100% titanium now. My RA ate away at my TMJ joint to the degree over a 2-year period. It went from the disc being a little bit crumpled to the disc being displaced and eroded. And then the next scan showed bone erosion. It was just a mess. Basically, the mandibular head of the jaw joint had just collapsed.
That's terrifying. That's really horrible.
Surgery. Like you talk, you use a TMJ. You eat, you use a TMJ. You yawn, you use a TMJ. Like, it is such an essential part that you just don't think about. And to be honest, before I had RA, I didn't really know much about autoimmune disease. I knew that, MS was an autoimmune disease, and I have friends with MS. But I was the same, arthritis, old people disease. But this is systemic, which means it can affect your heart, your lungs, your liver, your eyes, your skin, everything. So I've also got cardiomyopathy in my heart now as well because of that. And it's moved to my sacroiliac joints and my pelvis. So, but at one point I was walking with a cane, and now I'm leg pressing 150 kilograms. So I'm constantly trying to be stronger and be more for my family, which is challenging. But I have a sick mobility scooter, and it's so fun.
I love that. You get to race the old people.
Totally. But it's such a vibe, and it's so comfortable.
I love that so much. And look, it's obviously gone a long way because you also had spinal surgery, but you mentioned that actually you went to have spinal surgery, which was like the lowest of lows, darkest before the dawn, to then being talent spotted by the beautiful and incredible Erin, who we miss so much. Tell me about spinal surgery, because that is hectic.
So Remy was 2.5, and I had breastfed him for 2.5 years. All through my surgeries, through my, hysterectomies, all of the things. When you're pregnant, obviously you get laxity in your joints and things. And I remember he was a big boy. So I remember putting him down in his bouncer, and I just kept going, and I kind of just fell, and I felt something give in my back. And it was my L5S1 disc had ruptured and was pressing against the sciatic nerve into my leg. So I managed to correct it enough with physio that I didn't need surgery at that point. But then I slipped on cat vomit in my hallway probably 8 months later. And then I just couldn't.
That's so gross and random at the same time, and
my
horrible.
Cat, Henry, he's a big boy. Big boy. He's 16 this year. He's my first baby. I got him when I was flight attending because I didn't want to be alone anymore when I finished flight attending. Slipped on cat vomit. Ended up having to go in a hospital. I had just weaned Remy off breastfeeding because I had to start taking Lyrica for the nerve pain for my back. But then the back pain got so bad that I couldn't get to the toilet. Like, I couldn't get up. I was crawling before that and leaning on the wall trying to get to the toilet. And it got to a point where I was like, this is ridiculous. I have to call an ambulance. smack bang in the middle of COVID. So I couldn't have any visitors. So I went from, co-sleeping, breastfeeding, having my family there to being in hospital for 5 days and about to have spinal surgery. So I had the surgery.
It's so weird.
It was pretty horrendous because it was COVID. There wasn't a lot of, there was no contact. I remember being in the pre-op room in theatre and they brought me up too early and I could hear drilling and hammering and saws and stuff. And I had a panic attack. I ripped off my hospital gown and I just started sobbing. And one of the nurses, because I was in there alone, one of the nurses in theatre came out. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh my God," the sound of that. I was like, what are they doing? And she's like, "They're doing what you're about to have." And I was like, "Why couldn't you write to me? Why that? So she's like, "Yeah, that's what you're going to have." And I was like, fuck. So then I hyperventilated and she was like, "I'm not supposed to hug you, but I'm going to hug you." And I was so grateful for that because it was fucking hell. But then
just be like, "Oh no, that's something don't worry, but nothing that you love." You don't actually say, "Oh, that's what you're about to have." I don't even like dentist drilling sounds. I don't even like when I go to the chiropractor every week and he cracks my back. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh,"
and I had to lie on my stomach.
I don't even know.
At the beginning so that they could do surgery. And I was just like, but in saying that, when I came out, pain was completely gone. So it was recovering. I was recovering from that and I was laying in this very bed right here. And I got a message in my inbox from an Erin Green. And I was
we miss you, Erin. I talk about you a lot.
And she said, "Hey, my name's Erin. I've seen your writing on Kalina's website for Jones & Co. and on Nikki's from House of Bliss." And she said, "Love, I really like your vibe. Can you send me your portfolio?" And I was like, 3 days post-op spinal surgery. And I was like, "Sure, I can do that. I'm on morphine. Just check back in with me in 2 weeks." 2 weeks later, she checks in. She's like, "Hey, I'm just checking back in to see how you're going and if you've got the portfolio yet." And I was like, "I don't really know what that is." I was like, "I'm going to be honest. I don't have a portfolio because I don't really believe in myself. And I just did the writing just for fun kind of thing." And I was like, "Do you want us to have a coffee?" So she's like, "Yeah, let's have coffee." So we went down to Valori and we had a coffee and she said to me, she's like, "You don't realize what a gift you have." And I was like, shook. I was like, "What do you mean? I'm just a mom. I just had my spine operated on it." I'm just like, "What?" And she said, "I want you to rewrite my Greenery & Co. website from top to bottom, plus all the automated emails, like the, missed cart, abandoned cart and all that. And also her Whitsunday collective. I want you to do those and I'll build your website." And it just went from there. And then she was just this little angel in my life that I was just like, and she was so fucking stubborn. I remember going to her house and we were working on the website and she had an ovarian cyst and she was like, she'd call Brad and she's like, I've got to go to hospital. And I was like, "I will take you to hospital." She's like, no. I ring her later that day and I'm like, "What?" She's like,
"Fucking car, Erin."
She fucking drove herself to the hospital and she's in the hospital on her laptop. I was like, "Excuse me, no, don't do that." But it was just mind-boggling.
I think anyone, if you didn't know Erin Green, how do I even describe her? The first time I met her, she sculled a glass of champagne in front of me and then hugged me and said, "You're such a fucking vibe. I've been following you for ages. I really want to be your friend." And I was like, "Shut up." And so that's how our friendship started at one of the women. Well, we'd met a couple times, but then properly at the Women in Front event, the first one that happened. And Ez was one of those girls that someone would say they were like, "Oh, I've got this goal," or something like that. And she would follow up. She would remember. She would remember everything that you said about yourself. She was such a girl. And she was a champion. She ran a marketing agency, a homewares company, everything. And then she tragically passed away at 28 from a medical incident. And it was
crazy. Right.
The world, it wasn't her time. I don't think it was her time. I still stand by it. I don't think it was her time. She had so much more to do, so much more to give.
The funeral, seeing the hundreds of people that were there, there would have been over 1,000. And every single
funeral
person
was the biggest I've ever been to in my whole life. It was huge. There would have been 600
every
people there, I
single person
reckon.
was saying, oh my God, I just talked to her yesterday. Oh my God, I just messaged her. Or, oh my God, she created this. And I'm like, she was this otherworldly alien gazelle. Like, she was just everything to everyone, you know? And I had her at my house a week before she passed, and she wasn't feeling good.
Yeah, we caught up for a coffee the week before, and then ran a virtual seminar thing 2 days before, to the Wednesday before, and I think it was the Saturday morning was the incident. Sunday she passed away, and it was just it was fucking crazy. It was crazy.
At my house, and she went on to have an episode with her next client.
Yes,
and she said, "Hey, I'm hosting a social media thing. I got a spare ticket. Come and hang." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was messaging her that morning, and I sent her a photo of me in my kit meals at my 21st, and we're just pissing ourselves laughing about it. And I was late,
so funny.
and I got Jeremy to drop me off, and I walked around the corner, and I saw an ambulance, and I just knew. I knew it was for her. And as I walked up to Molly and Rose, they wheeled her out in front of me on the gurney. She came, they wheeled her out. I just stopped. I saw her, and she wasn't moving, and they put her in the ambulance, and I just stood there with Brad and watched them work on her for a long time. And then a senior paramedic came and you know, and people didn't realize how serious it was, Cait, because everyone else was inside.
She's a simply healthy 28-year-old who'd been, I remember she'd been out of hospital a few times, what? Fucking useless.
3 times she presented with a neurological condition. 3 times. Not once did they run a CT on her. Not once.
But you know, it's the thing that's etched in my brain is seeing Brad at her funeral when he was I remember he couldn't talk. I remember he was he got someone else to make a speech for him because I just can't do it. But he was walking out holding her casket, and his face will scar me for the rest of my life. I just remember thinking fuck, this is the person you're planning your life with.
He knew when we were standing at the ambulance. You know. He knew. And I heard them say that she had a blown pupil. And I knew that was it. You know.
That's it.
And then I was messaging Brad and her mum, and she said she's in ICU.
I love Mermaid.
And she's amazing.
We love Mermaid.
And then the next day I said, you know, do you want me to go walk her or something? Do you want me to, can I do something? And, you know, as she regained consciousness, and he said, she's not going to. And then I had to tell everyone. That was at the event that morning and tell them. And, you know, a few people were there when it actually happened. And my heart is with them because it was so traumatic.
Yeah.
And I didn't even see the event. I just saw her body being wheeled into the ambulance.
Yeah, I just remember the group chat you and Lila had started. I'm pretty sure there was just a group chat with all of us. And one of you had messaged on the Sunday morning being she's gone, guys. I remember just sitting there. I was in a rental, and I remember just sitting there in my, on my bed, on my own, just thinking 20 fucking 8. 20 fucking 8. This perfectly seemingly healthy person just to have a brain aneurysm, and if that's not the sign to be go and fucking do what you want to do.
Oh man, it was just so fucking horrific.
I think about her a lot.
I think her all the time.
I think about she comes through in every reading I have, every single one she's there.
It's so amazing.
Everyone.
My kids were there when I got the message from Brad that she wasn't going to regain consciousness. And I obviously started sobbing, and I was on the back deck, and my kids were really little then. And my youngest Remy, he's just like me. Poppy's just like her dad. He ran and got his teddy bear and gave it to me because I was upset. And we kept finding ladybugs everywhere. And so now both of my kids call ladybugs Erin's. Yeah.
Oh,
and also
so
Jade's baby, Jade's bridal shower with cleanup. And we had this big group photo, and I was wearing these glasses. One of the last messages she sent me, I had my clear Oscar Wileys on, and she said, "Where did you get them? I love them." And as the photo was being taken, a ladybug landed on my glasses and stayed there for the entire photo. Like there was like 10 photos and it just stayed there. And then it went from my glasses onto my shoulder. And I was just like, it's her. Like it's gotta be. And then another time I had a grasshopper. I was laying on my back in the pool. Grasshopper landed on my nose in the pool. Like I'm looking up and there's a grasshopper. I think wrong in language, right? I was like, it's Erin.
It's so funny. I think it was before the Woman in Front Sandstone event, which I was presenting at as well. And I got there and I said to Lila, oh, I had a psychic reading the other day. And she, like, Erin came through and she said to say to you, I hope the balloons worked out. And Lila was like, I've had this shit show of a time trying to get these balloons and stuff like that. And it was Erin that sorted it out. And Lila cried and she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, she just told me to say that, but I didn't know because I didn't have anything to do with the organizing of it. I just helped out with things on the day. And she was like, that is fucking wild. So I love that every person I speak to just loved her so much and had such a positive experience with her. And I guess that kind of brings me into my last point, which is she was the one that encouraged you to go into your copywriting business. So you've done the flight attendant, you've done science, you've been a singer, you've done all these things. Now, even amongst everything you have going on with your beautiful family life that's chaotic and crazy and amazing, and also with your chronic illness, your invisible disability, everything. And around that, you run a copywriting business.
Yeah, so Erin's the one that got me started in it. She gave me that push that I guess I didn't have a lot of self-esteem being chronically ill, and you know a lot of people would just say, you know, don't let it define you, and I'm like, well, it's part of who I am now. Like it's just the way that it is.
I find it condescending anyway, because you know I know this of myself, and Cam will speak to this as well, which is like I have days where I'm 200%, and then I have the next day, even an hour in that day, I can be at like 10%. And like I can literally have a day where I'm like, it even happened one day when we were on holidays. Like I just had a day where I was just like in a lot of pain and feeling really flat. And he's like, we don't need to do anything today. Like, let's just chill out, sit in the pool. Like, look, not do anything today. Let's not go to that activity we planned. Like, let's not. And like, it's so hard when you don't have people that respect or understand that. Like, I'm never going to bail on you unless I need to. But if I need to, I need to.
I am so, you know? I lucked out with Jeremy. Like, I cannot explain to you how in love I am with this man.
I feel like I'm the same.
13 years in, and I want to climb him like a tree. Like, I met him when I was in high school. He was a student at my school for a little bit, and I was obviously a straight A student. I was a nerd, had long blonde hair, blue eyes, and I was, you know, skinny and whatever. And I have this really cool friend, Laurie, who's still one of my best friends. She's Poppy's godmother, even though I'm not religious, but I just wanted to give her that honor because she got us together. So, yeah. So
I love that.
Godparent. She and I used to go watch bands play because I was like into punk and like metal and, you know, rock and roll. So, yeah, totally. I'm still emo, right? Emo's not dead. Just got to flip that hair.
I'm not emo as much as I'm like Metallica, Slipknot.
Hey, look, like, I can still be emo. So I went to watch his band play, and he was a drummer, and he had a mohawk, and he was so hot. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so fucking hot. And he was best friends with Laurie, and he smoked cigarettes, and he was a bad boy, and it was like so cool, and he had these like delicious lips, and I was like, oh my God, he's so hot. But I was always so scared to talk to him because he was so hot and so cool, and I was such a nerd. Yes, so intimidated. And then he later told me that he was too intimidated to talk to me because I was too pretty. So we were both like checking each other out from afar. But I was in Melbourne. I was really sick. I was really, really unwell, living on my own. And Jeremy hates social media, but for whatever reason, he had Facebook at that time. I was FaceTiming Laurie, who was living in London. And she was like, you need to move back to Redcliffe and marry Jeremy and have his babies. So I was like, okay. So I went onto Facebook. I liked about 15 photos in the span of about 13 seconds, and then went, oh, fucked up, like backed off. And then I put my last uni assignment in, and I went to Veggie Bar to meet a friend for dinner, and message pops up, saw you were on my profile today. And I was like, yeah, hi. And he was like, and then the bartender asked me out. So I'm like, on my computer, Jeremy's talking to me, and I was like, oh my God, the bartender. He's like, oh, I've missed my chance. I was like, no, you haven't. And so he sent me his number. And from that day onwards, we were inseparable, like long distance initially. He would send me tulips. He wrote me a song. He flew down to see me. I just knew with him. We started trying for kids straight away because he knew about all my endo and stuff. But this man, if I had to write down on a piece of paper everything I want in a partner, it's just him. Down to eye color.
Well, I did write a list. I did write a list of everything that I wanted in a partner. And I remember family members and other people in my life being like, oh my God, you're so picky. Like, you can't be that picky. And I was like, I remember I got to the point where I literally used to say to people, well, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, right.
Like, I was just really condescending. I was like, fuck you. If you're gonna attack me, do you know what? Thank God I was picky because I married to the best person ever. And he fell into my lap. We met at a wedding when I was really young and he fell into my lap again. He moved from Victoria for me. Like, I'm so glad that I was picky and I waited for that right person and I just enjoyed my single time and I enjoyed dating. And, yes, but like, going on.
Yeah, my God, I was on the app for so many years and they were just all freaks. Like all of them.
See, I was never on the apps when I was living in Vic ever. But when I moved here, I didn't have a social circle or anything. So I remember I was on it for like 2 months. Then I turned it off. Then I was on it for like another 2 months. And that's when Cam came back into my life.
I had given up as well. I was like, and I'd actually, being a flight attendant, I'd had a little fling with one of the Collingwood players who was like quite, public figure at that time. And I said to Mum, I was like, I'm just going to get knocked up with an AFL player, like giving her a side eye. She's like, okay, whatever, get me grandkids, I'm happy, whatever. But then Jeremy and I reconnected. Oh, she's so funny. She just wanted grandkids. They love him so much.
That is the absolute best. I love that you've got so many people that just so like blindly 100%. Support you and so much love around you. Like I know you speak of Jeremy, you speak of your parents, all of that, but we've covered an absolute journey today and I fucking love that. And I knew it would be. Get two yappers on a podcast.
Kevin in the background. So sorry.
But from science degrees and cover bands to flight attendant life, corporate beauty, chronic illness, Janice the ovary, hysterectomy, grief, the beautiful Remy rainbow, therapy breakthroughs, energy healing experiments, and the ongoing quest to just frolic through life. I am in awe of you, and I want to finish this with like, tell me about the frolicking because I love that word, and knowing you, I love that word.
Right? So many people. So I got to a point last year where I was like, I'm fucking done being like sensible. Like, I'm still a responsible adult. I'm still a parent, but I really wanted to find who I was, and I realized that if I just brought things back to a simple way of life, to appreciating, I'm big into grounding now and getting your feet in the sand and sun on your face, all these things that I'd shied away from because of medicines or whatever, they go in the sun and all that kind of shit. I really decided last year that I was a mermaid. I was like, I'm a mermaid. It's just what I am. I'm just always meant to be a mermaid because number one, it's so good for my RA. There is no pressure on my joints. I'm completely weightless. There's this amazing beach just down the road. I go down in my mobility scooter. I hoon down the little hill, and I park it up. I've had people come down that recognize my scooter and think I've thrown myself off the edge of a cliff into the ocean because it's just sitting there on its own. Meanwhile, I'm like fucking frolicking with the fish in the water. I go like a gung-ho snorkel, and I remember Tegan and Nikki and Sophie saying to me like, what's your goal for 2026? And I was like, to frolic, like, duh. And they were all like, of course you're going to frolic. So I'm trying to bring playfulness and fun back in amongst all the seriousness because honestly, my life revolves around my kids and medical appointments. So whenever I can get a little pop of peace in there, frolic in the ocean, be a bit silly, go skinny dipping, all of the fun things. I just
love it.
Yeah, I'm
that.
Frolic. I think I'm going to get it tattooed on me.
I think it's like, even now on social media and stuff, I feel like it's quite trending. Like people like, we need to have more whimsy. We need to have like more dopamine things in our house. We need to do more like inner child things. And it's
Oh my
so
God, it sounds
fucking
amazing
beautiful.
on
Like I was saying
dance.
that to one of my girlfriends. Yeah, I was saying that to one of my girlfriends who's literally just broken up with the super successful business coach, just broken up with a bit of a man child. And she was literally just like, I am literally just buying everything like
Yes.
pink and colorful and bright. And she's like, I my two sons' bedrooms a bright color for them and like made them their own like little
That's something I love about my
sanctuaries. And she's
kids.
just like, it's so good. And I was like, that's literally what I'm like. I just buy shit
Same.
that makes me happy. Like, do we need a bright
Yes, we
fluoro
do.
velvet blue
Yes.
sofa? No, but it makes me so
Yes.
fucking
I'm
happy.
the same with my kids. Remy's always been very fruity. Let's say fruity. He loves like he would wear a ladybug dress. The other night he put on about 15 of Nana's necklaces and started twerking in front of me. Like he is just so free in himself. And I was so worried school would like get that out of him. But they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he was like, a penguin. And everyone drew what they wanted to be. There was like doctors and nurses and stuff. And he drew a penguin. And I was like, I fucking love that for you, Remy. You're going to be a penguin. You know what I mean? Like, just be what you want to be. Just play. Yeah.
I love it.
Go play more.
I love it so much. So not hard to tell that you're a copywriter with the name of your social handles. So you've got fullysick.life on Instagram,
There'll be more
which I
than
love
that.
because you're fully sick. I love. And also Mama's Room, but it's mamas.RHEUM as in short rheumatoid arthritis. So I love that. I love the play on words. They're my favorite type of my favorite type of like social handles. Love, 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 love. Any final words, my girl?
I guess that no. Frolic. Go and play. Do something playful. Go and put your feet in the sand. Go and laugh. Put on fucking Limp Bizkit and scream it out the window of your car. Just play. We've got to play more. The world is so fucking chaotic and serious right now. And it's really easy to get emotionally drained by that. But you need to be fulfilled in yourself to be able to make a difference on a community level, to be able to then have an influence on a global level. You know what I mean? Like you've got to act locally, to think globally. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
Thanks for having me
so much. Thank you for taking us here, there, and everywhere and sharing that and just showing people that, slowing down is okay. Working hard when you need to is okay. But above everything, it's like
that's right. And
success
means something different to everyone. And I remember I was supposed to speak at the Woman in Front event at the Leagues Club, which is down the road from my house, but I ended up having to have my ovary out that day. And my entire speech for that night was about success and how success looks different for everybody. Success for me is a healthy, happy life. It's not a monetary figure. It's not, a belonging. It is health, and you've got to, your success has got to be tailored to your individual values. Like it's got to be. And success looks different for everyone.
I love that. Thank you so much, Nick. I love you so much.